Most people think respect is mainly about personality. It is not. Respect is often a reaction to signals. Signals of certainty, signals of scarcity, signals of self-control, signals that suggest you know your value, and that you will not trade it away to stay comfortable in the moment. That is why two people can say almost the same thing and receive completely different treatment. One gets questioned, the other gets listened to. One gets tested, the other gets space. One gets pushed, the other gets respected. The difference is not always intelligence, not always status in the obvious sense, not always money. Often, it is the invisible frame surrounding the behavior. People are constantly asking, usually without realizing it, how easy is this person to pressure? How available are they? How quickly do they seek approval? How stable are they under tension? Do they seem to need this interaction more than I do? Those questions shape treatment before the conversation is even fully underway. That is why some people lose social position before they speak. They enter already signaling rush, overavailability, or insecurity. Others walk in differently, not louder, not more aggressive, just harder to move. This video is about those signals, because respect is not only something you request, it is something your behavior quietly teaches people to give or not give. And one small mistake lowers your position faster than almost anything else. We'll come to that in a moment. Most social testing is subtle. A late reply, a change plan, a joke at your expense, a request with no reciprocity, an interruption, a vague promise, a tone that slightly lowers your position. Many people think these moments are random. They often are not. People test what appears easy to push. If your time looks unlimited, they will use more of it. If your boundaries look flexible, they will test them again. If your approval looks easy to win, they will spend less energy earning it. This does not mean everyone is calculating like a villain. Often it is more automatic than that. Human beings respond to what seems available, and once a pattern works, it tends to repeat. That is why low position signals matter. Excessive apology, instant availability, nervous overexplaining, laughing when something crosses a line, changing your answer the moment someone pushes back. Each of these behaviors quietly teaches the same lesson. Pressure works here. That is the key. People do not only react to what you say, they react to what your behavior trains them to expect. And once that expectation forms, your future treatment often follows it. This is why respect is not only about one powerful moment. It is about repeated signals, repeated standards, repeated consequences. And if you want to understand why some people get respect instantly, you have to understand what instantly lowers it. This is the mistake that destroys more status than people realize. Overexplaining. You say no, then explain, then soften the no, then apologize for the no, then offer reasons the other person never even earned. And suddenly your clear boundary no longer sounds like a boundary. It sounds like a negotiation. That is the problem. Over-explaining turns clarity into uncertainty. The other person hears not only your words, they hear your discomfort, and discomfort invites pressure. The moment you feel responsible for making the other person emotionally comfortable with your boundary, your position starts dropping. Because now you are not just communicating, you are seeking permission. High-respect communication is often shorter. Not rude, not cold, just contained. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available. I'll think about it. No, the power is not in the wording alone. It is in the lack of emotional chasing. You are not trying to force approval. You are not trying to manage their reaction. You are saying what is true and allowing the other person to have their reaction. That emotional containment signals stability, and stability signals status. This is why silence is so underrated. The person who can let the sentence stand often looks stronger than the person who keeps filling the air. Not because silence is magic, but because it suggests they are not panicking. They do not need to rescue the moment. They do not need to chase comfort. And in social dynamics, that matters more than people think. One of the deepest status signals is this. Do you appear trapped? Or do you appear to have options? People respect what looks difficult to control, and what is difficult to control usually has alternatives. A person with options does not rush as easily. They do not cling to every opportunity. They do not collapse under small rejection. They do not treat one conversation like the only door left in life. That changes everything, because desperation creates pressure, and pressure lowers position. The person who appears too hungry for approval, opportunity, validation, or attention often feels easier to manage. The person who appears grounded and selective creates a different impression. This does not mean pretending not to care. False detachment is fragile. The goal is not performance. The goal is to build enough inner and outer stability that you do not act desperate. Real options help. Skills, savings, other relationships, a stronger schedule, a meaningful life outside one person or one room. But emotional options matter too. Can you tolerate disappointment? Can you hear no without collapsing? Can you lose one opportunity without turning it into an identity wound? That kind of self-control changes how people read you, because people sense when they're dealing with someone who can walk away. And the ability to walk away calmly is one of the strongest respect signals there is. High social value rarely looks frantic. It looks calm. That calmness is not passivity. It is self-command. A person who is hard to rush often looks powerful. A person who is hard to provoke often looks powerful. A person who can hear tension without immediately collapsing into explanation often looks powerful. Why? Because they do not look externally governed. Their emotional state does not seem owned by every stimulus in the room. That creates a sense of gravity, and gravity attracts respect. But calmness alone is not enough. Calmness without standards becomes softness. Standards are what turn calmness into position. What do you accept? What do you not accept? What gets access to your time? What gets refused? How consistently do you apply those rules? Consistency matters because unstable standards invite testing. If people can pressure you into exceptions every time, they do not believe the standard is real. But when your standards remain calm and consistent, treatment changes. Not always immediately. Some people will test first, but stable standards train the room. And beneath those standards is something even deeper. Self-respect. Self-respect changes behavior before anyone else even arrives. You do not chase every person. You do not say yes to every request. You do not remain where you are repeatedly devalued. You do not hand your position away just to avoid temporary discomfort. That is why real respect starts inside before it shows outside. There's a trap here. Once people learn a little about status, they start performing it. Speaking slowly just to look important. Acting distant. Replying late on purpose. Trying to look unavailable. Using arrogance as a shortcut. That is weak power wearing costume. It looks strategic for a moment, but it collapses under pressure. Because performance still depends on external validation. Real status does not need so much theater. It comes from substance, actual competence, actual boundaries, actual options, actual discipline, actual emotional control. That is why the strongest people usually do not look like they're trying very hard to look strong. They are building something deeper, and that deeper thing is freedom. If your image of power makes you more anxious, more fake, more dependent, or more performative, it is not power. It is maintenance. Real power should reduce desperation, not increase it. That is why this video is not teaching you how to appear superior. It is teaching you how to stop leaking position. There is a difference. You do not need to dominate the room. You need to stop teaching the room that your value is easy to discount. If you want more respect, begin here. First, speak more clearly and explain less. Second, stop treating every request like an emergency. Third, protect your time as if it has value, because it does. Fourth, Notice where you apologize automatically, especially when you have done nothing wrong. 5th, practice letting a sentence stand without rescuing the silence. 6th, build real options in your life, not fake status symbols. Real options. 7th, become consistent. A standard that only exists on good days is not a standard. And finally, remember this. Respect rises when your behavior says, I know what I allow. I know what I don't allow. I'm not here to be difficult, but I'm also not here to be easy to push. That is the balance. Not aggression, not coldness, not ego, clarity, self-command, standards, and enough self-respect that other people can feel you will not trade all of that away just to keep the moment comfortable. A lot of people lose position before the interaction even begins. You can hear it in the way they enter. Too rushed, too eager, too available, too emotionally ready to accept whatever tone the other person sets. And the room notices, not because everyone is consciously judging, but because human beings read stability fast. Posture, pacing, timing. Who seems centered? Who seems reactive? Who seems to need the outcome more? That is why first impressions matter more than most advice admits. Not because shallow people run the world, but because early signals create a frame. And once the frame is set, everything that follows gets interpreted through it. The same sentence sounds different from someone who appears grounded than from someone who appears unsure. The same boundary feels stronger when it comes from calmness than when it comes wrapped in apology. So if you want more respect, do not only think about what you will say. Think about the state you are bringing into the room. Are you entering as if this moment decides your worth, or as if this is simply one interaction inside a larger life? That difference is visible. There is another pattern that quietly lowers respect. Chasing clarity, chasing approval, chasing attention, chasing immediate resolution. When one person keeps moving toward the other, the balance changes. The chaser starts communicating need. Invisible need often reduces leverage. This is why repeated follow-ups, repeated emotional checking, repeated reassurance seeking, and repeated attempts to fix the vibe can backfire. The more you chase emotional comfort, the more you signal that the other person's reaction has too much power over your internal state. That does not mean become cold. It means stop making emotional pursuit your default position. Sometimes the strongest move is not a stronger argument. It is a pause, a delay, a refusal to rescue the atmosphere every time it becomes uncomfortable. People respect those who do not panic under social tension. Many people try to earn respect through one dramatic moment, one big speech, one powerful boundary, one perfect response. But respect rarely grows that way. It grows through consistency. A calm standard repeated again and again. A clear boundary repeated again and again. A measured response repeated again and again. One strong moment can change a dynamic, but repeated behavior is what trains it. That is why intensity is overrated. Some people look powerful in a single moment and then undo everything the next day through inconsistency. They say no, then quickly reverse it. They set a boundary, then explain it to death. They speak strongly once, then become overavailable again. The room learns from repetition, not from performance. So if you want a practical rule, use this one. Do not try to look powerful occasionally. Try to become predictable in your standards. Predictable calmness creates trust. Predictable self-respect creates weight. Predictable boundaries create position. Some people fear that stronger boundaries will make them cold. That if they stop over-explaining, they will seem harsh. If they stop chasing, they will seem uncaring. If they protect their time, they will seem selfish. This fear keeps many people trapped in low-respect behavior. So let's make the distinction clear. Warmth is not weakness. Kindness is not low status. Generosity is not the problem. The problem is when warmth has no structure, when kindness has no standards, when generosity has no boundaries. That is when good qualities become easy to exploit. The goal is not to become emotionally unavailable. The goal is to become emotionally directed. You can be warm and still clear, patient and still selective, kind and still hard to push. That combination creates a far more powerful presence than coldness ever could. Because people do not only respect force, they also respect grounded warmth. If you want one strategic rule to remember from this video, remember this. Respect rises when your behavior says, "My time is not random. My standards are not imaginary. My emotions are not easy to govern. My yes has value because my no is real." That is the core. Not arrogance. Not image. Not performance. Position. And position is built every day in small moments. The pause before you answer. The boundary you keep. The explanation you choose not to give. The standard you hold when the room gets uncomfortable. That is where respect is built, not only in what you say, but in what your behavior teaches other people about the cost of pushing you. Which earns respect fastest in your opinion? Calmness, standards, self-respect, or options? Write your answer in the comments. And subscribe to the Arca Strategist if you want more videos on status, strategy, power, and human behavior. Because the world does not only respond to what you say, it responds to the position your behavior quietly teaches people you have.